have to show you something. I don't know why I always choose the absolute worst moment to join Mark in the cab. This almost makes me want to cry. 35 sets of triplets. I couldn't believe it. And we are officially done spring lambing of 2021. Good morning, it's officially spring. So I'm gonna go a couple rounds with Mark here. We're fertilizing the wheat this morning. It was supposed to be sunny, but it's looking like we might get a little shot of rain. So he wants to get some nitrogen on the wheat before it rains, and then the rain hopefully can just kind of soak it into the wheat where it needs to be. But before that, I have to show you something. It is Monday morning, and we are officially done spring lambing of 2021 with these adorable set of twins. So yeah, my two Suffolk cross ewes here, number 1 and number 2, she lambed yesterday, and she lambed bright and early this morning. As I was drinking my coffee, I watched from my Nest cameras. I wasn't here when they were born, but I was able to see that everything was good. So Chris has put them in the pen, so I'll keep them in here today, tag them up probably tomorrow. This has been a really weird, naturally bred group for me, because typically when I leave rams in for 34 days, I always have a few. They're stragglers, it takes forever. And this group just didn't have it. So yes, I do have 3 that lambed. The 2 with the blue had preg tox, and the 1 with the purple had the stillborn triplets and wouldn't foster anything. And then I had 1 abort. The second one there, she aborted about a month ago. And then the first one must have reabsorbed a pregnancy, because she's just not bagged up, doesn't really, she kind of just looks open. So those ones will probably get put over there just so I can get them out a little easier than if I leave them in here. And then we'll go through the numbers, and I'll share with you guys the good, bad, and of course the very ugly. So I'm gonna take a ride with this handsome devil this morning that I haven't seen, it feels like, for at least a month. Been in here in a while. This is such a metaphor, right? Literally the day I'm finished lambing, we're starting field work.
I've already done field work.
I know, but and this is a different variety here.
Yeah,
that's crazy. The hay's really greened up though since the rain. But this is new seeding, and then that's the old stuff. Well, that was fun working the wrinkles out of the GPS. It's always interesting. I don't know why I always choose the absolute worst moment to join Mark in the cab. I'm letting Carissa just finish chores here. This is her last day, and then she goes back to school tomorrow because today is still Easter Monday for the schools. I think this afternoon I want to weigh my market lambs across the road. They are 4 months old already. I cannot believe it. Almost, not quite. Just shy of 4 months. And yeah, Easter was this weekend right now. Prices have been ridiculous, but they've been actually really consistently strong since the beginning of January. So I really didn't miss much while I was lambing here. And quite frankly, for me, I usually wait till after Easter before I have any actually even ready. So this timing should work out well, because what I find is a lot of farmers try to meet that Easter market, and then a lot of the suppliers are really short lamb for just the typical people that like to consume lamb on the regular. We're in lockdown again in Ontario. And for whatever reason, during lockdown, I think more families just eat together. So I'm just going to take advantage of that market this week. I've got a little bit of time now that lambing's done. I want to run those through this afternoon and see what I got ready. I stuck my head in yesterday and could not believe how big they are, or they looked. They might just look that big because I'm used to like little 10-pound lambs. It is so weird being in this barn after not being in it for a couple weeks easily. The lambs look huge. We've all been used to the wee little 10-pound lambs, and these ones are, well, we're going to figure out what these ones are. This group, unlike the group I have across the road right now, we're kind of in two different groups. So I had some born the first kind of 2 weeks of that breeding group. There was another group that were a couple weeks after that lamb. There was kind of a reprieve in between. So I did keep them separate, and I weaned them separate. So I weaned these guys about 2 weeks after this side. The one thing about this group, across the road, when they were with their mums, they broke with Orf. I've had Orf lots of times. You guys have seen me talk about it. It's kind of a nasty cold sore that they can get. Believe it's viral. So there's really no cure for it necessarily. I think you can make your own vaccine, but it has to be custom to whatever Orf your flock is susceptible to. And I'm not sure if that changes, but from group to group, flock to flock, lambing to lambing, I'm not really sure, or if you're always stuck with the same Orf. There's probably way smarter people here and in my comments that could speak to that a little bit better than me. But it is something I've kind of struggled with. Some years I don't see it at all. Other years I see it in like 1 or 2 groups, and some years I get it like group after group, and this one seems to be that. So these guys have been cleared for a while. It's about a 2 weeks you see them, they're kind of nasty. This group, however, had none. They had no Orf, and they were literally right beside these guys. So they could touch each other through the gate, and I never did see, they didn't break at all across the road. Now, Chris has been doing chores, and she did mention to me a couple days ago, she goes, that younger side across the road's got Orf now. I'm just noticing it. So yeah, these guys are broke, and they're just nicely started. So they're gonna be kind of open, yucky sores for the next couple weeks, and this is when I was gonna start shipping them. Orf is very, very contagious, and we can get it. We're doing the 100-mile dash right now. Anyway, the last thing I want is for one of the people at the sales barn to get it. So I'm not shipping this side, but I'll ship that side. If you're new here, welcome to my handling facilities. This one I have to keep putting up and taking down, just because it is in the middle of the barn, and I need access to that center alley. All I'm doing is taking the older lambs, I'm kind of putting them in this, it's called a crowding tub. That gate is a swing gate. It'll swing behind them. They're gonna go in here, not great. They're not gonna go in great for a couple weeks because they haven't been through it very much. They're gonna go on the scale. I'm gonna run my Gallagher and just scan them, take their weights. If they're 105 pounds or over, they are going to be put in this drop pen. And then anything lighter than that is just going to go right back into their pen. we had quite a few ready and beyond ready. Like, I think the average weights are gonna actually shock me. I shouldn't be surprised because these guys had weaning weights that I actually have never seen before. I was giving a lot of due credit to our new Vino creep feeders. What I noticed over there is that there was no waste of my feed, whereas my old white trough feeders, I'd have so much feed spilled out of it that quite often I would go in the afternoon and those lambs had no feed in front of them. So these Vino feeders, there's always feed in front of them and there was zero waste. And I think between that and just, I don't know, maybe getting these, maybe Carissa always trailing behind me with a bottle, just making sure, you know, those first 24 hours are so critical, which you have just seen. And you're gonna see more when I go over my data, which has really shocked me over there as well. I think it's very critical, and I think a lot of us, when we're so busy lambing, is once we think mom and baby have bonded, we kind of forget about them. Like, you're good, you're a sheep, you know what you're doing, away you go, run along. And I think in the past, you know, those first couple days even, maybe a few have gotten behind. And when they get behind in those first, you know, 24 to 48 hours, I have a feeling that it just sets the tone of that animal. So this group is really the first one that we were adamant about making sure no lambs are looking like they're going backwards in those first 24 hours, 48 hours, making sure that every multiple had a bottle, pulling off weak ones. So I'm gonna say this again, my goal for 2020, last year, was to improve my lamb livability. And I think not only are we improving that, we're improving lamb performance, meaning they're getting to these weights quicker than I think. Like the weaning weights I just had never seen before. They were higher than I'd ever had. And I think for these guys being not even quite 4 months old, the first one's out the door, I usually have maybe 5 or 6, and that they're just right at that, you know, 105 to 110 pounds. I had one in here, I'm pretty sure that was 128 pounds. So likely it was a single, so I'm not giving us all the credit, but I'm starting to see the value of, you know, really selecting the ewes a little more critically, and all this work that's taking place in the barn across the road right now, all that work that we've done in the last 3 weeks that you guys have witnessed, we did that in December, and I think we're starting to see the results. So I love that I was able to show this side of my journey on the tail end of what we just went through for the last 3 weeks, and I hope it's starting to make sense of what I'm trying to do, the things that I'm trying to accomplish, the goals that I'm trying to set and do. So let's go over the results on this. I had 17 ready, and they look good. But just because I think they look good doesn't necessarily mean the numbers will back me on that. So I am going to use my Gallagher here, and I have a section called stats. Okay, there were 17 in this group. The minimum weight was 106 pounds that I actually scanned that went in there. The max weight was 129 pounds. For an average overall weight of this group was 114 pounds, which is a little crazy. It's looking like they are born for anywhere from December 11th, which was the first day of lambing, to the 21st of December. So December 11th to December 21st. And so today is April 5th. It's a very uniform age. The sires of these breeds are kind of all over the place. But definitely some Rideau influence, Suffolk influence, Ile-de-France influence, and Steele influence. So we had all the rams in this group, which typically I only see the Suffolks or the Rideaus kind of filter to the top. So it was nice to see they were all filtering to the top, which, you know, for me makes it less about dad and genetics, so to speak, and a little more about mom and what we're doing maybe with mom and her milk and our feeding, and you know, we're giving her a little more credit in this situation, I think. Anyway, that's my own personal opinion. So we're doing good things. It feels like in the moment when I'm lambing, it feels like a lot of stuff is going wrong, But when I come over here, this almost makes me want to cry because this is a huge improvement to what I've seen ever since I've started sheep farming. Anyway, we're gonna run over across the road again, and I want to go over the lamb stats now that we have this whole group. This whole group is done lambing, so I thought I would just go over those stats with you. Well, I'm with the last of my lambs here, and I did go through my numbers the other day, so these numbers are not including these 2 sets of twins, so I'll have to just kind of do some quick math and add it as I go. So what I did is I went through my Gallagher, and I've got all the stats kind of written down here. Overall, the group lambed out really, really well. So now we're at 228 lambs born out of 96 ewes. Now, these numbers do include the ewes that have died on me due to preg tox and that one that had that giant lamb. So all those lambs are counted. I count all the lambs that don't make it. I count all the mums that don't make it. So as long as they've lambed, they get counted. So we're sitting at just shy of 2.4 lambs per ewe in this group. And after the mortality, and most of those being stillborns in one form or another, and I'll go through all the mortality in a sec. We have 109, right now we're sitting at 196 lambs alive out of 96 ewes, which is in and around, I'm just going to use the numbers I had before, but we're sitting in and around 2 lambs per ewe alive, which 2 is always my goal. 2 is kind of my goal to be marketed, but 2, even at this stage, is good. I just have to, if we keep trending the way we are across the road, it should keep our market lamb number strong as well. We had 8 ewes had singles, 42 ewes had twins, 35 ewes had triplets, so 35 sets of triplets. I don't know if that's a record, but in a group of 100 ewes, that's outrageous. So yeah, 35 sets of triplets. I couldn't believe it. I knew I had a lot, but I wasn't sure I'd have that many. 7 sets of quads and 1 set of quintuplets. You guys have seen most of all these, as long as I was able to have the camera as I'm doing this stuff. So let's go over the mortality a little bit. 17 lambs were just stillborn, so it doesn't look like anything was wrong, just lambs that did not come out without a heartbeat. So that's 7.5%. I mean, not as bad as I thought it was. It felt really, really bad. 6 of those lambs, if you remember right at the beginning of this lambing, were mummified, which I talked to. So mummified is basically, they kind of look like, if you think of a mummy, like an Egyptian mummy, so how they're kind of casted in a very still set way. I guess that's why they call these, because they're kind of still in their casing and they're not really quite developed. You knew that they died internally in mum fairly earlier on, and they just, for whatever reason, she didn't expel it. So I had 6 of those, which is 2.65% on top of the 7.5% stillborn. I had 4 those first quads that were born right in that first prison break set that had fluid on their lungs, and they all died. So that was a set of quads, so that was really disappointing right off the bat. One in those prison breaks, babies died right away of joint ill. Still not sure if it's joint ill. That seemed awfully early to have it. 1 was deformed. 1 was laid on. 1 was stuck. 1 unknown. 1 was sold, which we talked about in the last video. And 1 died because it was this week. It died really shortly after birth. So yeah, so that was the mortality. 34 lambs between stillborns and just 1 shortly after. I kind of base management issues, so lambing management issues, is any that I have tagged and they died after. So, did we miss any? Did they get not fed? Did they starve out? And we've only had 3 lambs, I think 3 lambs kind of post-tagging, not even tagged, I don't think, that didn't make it. So we're doing pretty good. So overall, it's these ones that actually have underlying issues that were the ones that died on me, and so that makes me feel a bit better that we're doing the right things during lambing. We're keeping lambs alive, and that's really good, I think. Anyway, that is lambing, and it's been fun. I am so thankful you've all the channel has grown over this lambing group. I'm blown away with the amount of people that have joined this little party that we have here. There's a lot of people that probably don't really understand the context behind what I do. I've got a ton of videos, you guys, if you want to go back. If you're looking for specific things, I'm really good at tagging all my videos. So YouTube has a really good search engine. So if, say, you want to know the breed of my sheep, just put Sandy Brock breed of sheep. You will find probably 5 or 6 videos that I just talk about the breeds. If you want to know about how I breed my sheep, put in Sandy Brock breeding season, Sandy Brock Ram, Sandy Brock, whatever, it'll come up. The good thing about having a big library is you should be able to find out some context and history behind what I do. It's really hard for me to go through thousands of comments right now if you're just new to the channel. My community is doing a really fabulous job kind of letting some new people know what the scoop is, but it's really not up to them either. So I encourage you, if you are, there'll be less videos coming out at you now, so I'll hopefully give you time to get caught up in how I run the farm, why I do what I do. Every vlog I do is basically a day in the life, but I've had a ton that do talk about specific things. So if you're looking for a specific thing, actually put it in the search bar and you should be able to find it. If you still can't find it, for sure throw me an email or just comment below in the description, and I'll do my best to either wrap around a video around it or point you in the right direction. But other than that, thank you for being here. We are getting into springtime now, so you're going to see a variety of stuff. You're going to see a little bit more Mark. You're going to see a little bit more me in here, out there. It's always just following us around, and I hope you're okay with that. And if you only come for the lambing, there will always be sheep in my videos. We're going to watch these guys grow. We're going to see them through all their trials and tribulations, hopefully none, and then you'll see another lambing here in 2 months already. So they go fast. They go by fast. We're going to get this group all primed up, this next group ready to lamb. So this is just, my life is always just on repeat.